Hi, I'm Aaron London from Ubuntu restaurant in Napa. Doing a potato dish here for the United States Potato Board. Kind of working with seasonality, what we have coming from the garden right now. We're going to do a dish with potatoes, sauerkraut, green fuyu persimmons, and moss on the rocks, garnished with lots of young, kind of spicy, crunchy greens. So I have my potatoes here. They've been simmered gently in heavily salted, spiced water. Lots of black peppercorns, aromatics in there, herbs. You want all these things to be free floating, not in a sachet. It really helps the flavor to get into the potato much better. After they've been cooked, what we do is we just pick them up in foamy brown butter. And as we're kind of cooking them, we start by crisping the skin. Once the crisp skin's been established, we then break the potato down, crushing it with the back of a spoon, and start dusting it with a kraut ash. So we make our own sauerkraut just by fermenting it in a cave up by the garden. We take that sauerkraut and we cook that out to an ash, an edible ash, so not like a carcinogen, but rather at about 250 degrees for a couple hours, well agitated. So it still has a really nice, fresh kind of kraut, funky fermented smell going to it. And then we use that powder to coat the potatoes as we do the final stages of the roasting process. So it all kind of bakes on there, just being sure that you make sure that you glaze the potato down with a little bit of fat, or a little bit of the butter after the ash goes on. Otherwise, it's kind of too dry and too powdery when it gets to your mouth. What we've also done is we've made a sauerkraut emulsion. In order to do that, we've taken sauerkraut and slowly caramelized it with onions and confit garlic, cooked down long and slow, just until it's just falling apart, beautiful golden brown. Then we've emulsified that in a blender. For every 1 pint of pureeable product, or the caramelized sauerkraut, we add 1 4.5 minute or a soft-boiled egg, as well as get that kind of spinning in the blender to a nice puree, and then we emulsify in 1 cup of oil. We use grapeseed oil on this just because it's neutral, and we want to keep the flavor of the sauerkraut really coming through. Potatoes look ready to go, so I'm going to start going to the plate with the potatoes. Here what we have is we have some compressed green persimmons. These were picked like a day and a half ago. They're hard and green on the outside, and I find that they have a more balanced flavor than the semi-orange or the fully ripe ones do. They go really, really well with the earthy and vegetal notes of this dish, as opposed to being something so sweet and maybe more dessert-like. So we're just going to taste those and toss them lightly in a little bit of lemon oil. Lemon oil has been made with lemon rinds left over from the bar at a Ubuntu restaurant. Those have been packed with grapeseed oil in a cryovac bag and cooked overnight at 72 degrees Celsius for about 12 hours. Makes this really, really nice aromatic lemony oil. The kraut emulsion is nice because it has super aioli-like texture to it. Though because of the way that it's made, it is flashable, meaning that you could pop this plate in the oven or in the salamander to heat it. I'm actually just going to use the oven here. So just kind of paint it around the plate. It's going to work for somewhat of an anchor for the potatoes themselves and the garnish. But you want to think about something kind of pretty, garden-like, fun-like, similar to get it kind of a landscape in your head and work from there. You want to think when you're plating it, not just about how it's going to look, but also how it's going to eat. So I like to stack kind of like nice piles of potatoes that all end up being kind of the perfect bite, well-composed bite. There we go. Now I'm just going to pop this in the oven here. So in about 30 more seconds, my plate's going to be nice and up to temp. I'm going to tell you about the last garnish we have here. This is what we call a moss on the rocks. So we were getting baby onions, baby leeks in from the garden, and we didn't really have a cool thing to do with them until we realized that when we were planting our potatoes in this very kind of craggy rock-like set, that if we made moss and put it on the north side of the rocks, it would look like moss on the rocks. With building this, just with building any landscapey-like thing, you just want to kind of let the potato tell you where it wants to go. Try not to put too much pre-thought in it. And you see how it gets nice and craggy on the edges here? The skin like just kind of curls off and it almost makes like a little chip for you. Really kind of sucks up the kraut ash there. Super delicious. So it's nice to kind of play around and mix and match the different varietals here. I have some sea-sized creamers here. I have some fingerling potatoes here. So it just gives you a little bit of a kind of different shape. Nice kind of broken potatoes there. Look super awesome. And if you need to stack something on top of it, you can just use the back of the spoon to make a small indentation. So, and you can start dancing in the fuyu persimmon as well. So one nice thing about compressing these is that not just does it make it like see-through, which is really cool, but it also gives it a lot more pliability. I mean, you could bend it around like that without it breaking. So you could kind of squeeze it in between the two of these. So just like with the potatoes, I like things that are cut in a specific shape to be really perfectly cut, or things to be like really beautifully torn, one or the other. So we have the perfectly round Fuya persimmons going to be accented by the craggy potatoes and the hand-torn spaghetti squash here. I'm going to come through with my moss on the rocks. And the idea with this is just to kind of drape this off the rocks. Super interesting manner. You drape that even off the squash itself. Kind of clings to it. So here you have your sauerkraut ash crusted young potatoes with green Fuya persimmon, sauerkraut emulsion, hand torn spaghetti squash, and moss on the rocks.